and I compromised my idea. And the big thing I learned on Star Trek V for me.
For decades, people believed William Shatner built his fortune only through acting. But the truth is far deeper and far stranger, because at 94, he leaves behind a financial world built through unusual deals, steady choices, and years of struggle. So intense, he once slept inside a camper. And the question that still shocks fans is how a man Hollywood nearly pushed aside ended up creating a legacy this powerful, and what the family will truly inherit from him, as his Hollywood story began in 1966, when he stepped into the uniform of Captain James T. Kirk in the second pilot of Star Trek, and without knowing it, changed his life forever. Because although he carried the Enterprise across 79 episodes, his pay was small, earning only a few thousand per episode, and ending with a total somewhere in the few 100,000 range, which could never support a long life. And the cruel twist came when the show exploded later in reruns, making millions for everyone, except the original cast, because Shatner received no syndication money. And that single blow shaped every money decision he made from that moment forward, pushing him to build his own future without trusting studios or contracts. And as the 1980s arrived, he found new ground starring in T.J. Hooker, earning tens of thousands per episode, and rebuilding what he had lost before unexpectedly turning into a trusted television host through Rescue 9/11, which earned him more income and gave him a new identity as a recognizable voice viewers trusted. And that same momentum carried him into the role of Denny Crane, where he earned massive salaries across more than 100 episodes. And by then, he understood that fame could fade at any moment. But income streams did not have to fade at all. And so he built his empire quietly through hosting work documentaries and shows that paid steadily. And then, something unusual happened when he became the face of Priceline, choosing to accept part of his payment in company stock, which later sparked the legend that he earned hundreds of millions, though he denied it and said the truth was more modest but still very profitable because the campaign earned him millions and taught him that early deals and creative contracts could grow far beyond a paycheck. And soon, he became one of the most in-demand commercial celebrities, stacking up millions more across decades of partnerships, while fans focused only on his acting and not on the money the commercials brought in. And at the same time, he earned huge sums through conventions where he was a top draw, collecting 5- and 6-figure appearance fees and building another pillar of income through one-man shows, Q&A tours, and live events that cost little to run but earned massive profits. And then came publishing with multiple best-selling books, fiction series like Tech War and audiobooks. He narrated himself, bringing in years of royalties, and even his music albums created modest but steady income. And when the digital age arrived, he adapted again, joining YouTube, creating sponsorship streams, and even launching NFT cards that sold out instantly, while his likeness on action figures, posters, and collectibles brought consistent royalty checks year after year. And while all of this impressed fans, the most surprising part of his empire came from his physical assets, beginning with the house he bought while jogging in the 1970s, a rundown place he rebuilt 4 different times, each renovation representing a new chapter of his life. And as his income grew, so did the home, until it became one of his most cherished spaces. And he purchased additional California properties long before the market exploded, turning those quiet investments into an 8-figure real estate portfolio. And beyond homes, he built a reputation in the world of show horses, where he invested, trained, and competed, forming another unusual corner of his wealth. And his vehicles became another reflection of his tastes, from luxury cars like Mercedes and Bentley to custom motorcycles like the Rivet One, which he helped design, and which later became a collector's piece, and his collectibles original Star Trek items, costumes, signed props, scripts, and awards, all became treasures with real auction value, growing more valuable each year. But behind all the success lived shadows many fans never knew. Beginning with the collapse after Star Trek was canceled, when he became so typecast he could barely find work, and ended up living in a camper while taking small theater roles and traveling job to job just to support his children. And these difficult years became the foundation he later built his fortune on, because he understood how quickly everything could disappear, and his personal life carried more hardship. Beginning with a first marriage that ended as fame changed his world. Then, a second marriage that lasted over 2 decades, but slowly drifted apart, and a third marriage that ended in tragedy, when his wife, Nareen Kidd, died after a struggle with addiction, leaving him with a grief he carried for years. And finally, his fourth marriage to Elizabeth Martin, which brought stability for nearly 20 years, until they quietly divorced in 2020. And through every marriage, every challenge, and every reinvention, his dedication to his daughters, Leslie, Elizabeth, and Melanie, stayed constant, shaping the man who later created the wealth they will one day inherit. And even late in life, controversy found him from auctioning a kidney stone for charity to long-running conflicts with former Star Trek cast members to intense criticism when he chose to honor a charity commitment instead of attending Leonard Nimoy's funeral. And even his convention appearances sparked debate among fans. But he continued forward, refusing to slow down, even as he reached his 80s and 90s, working, touring, recording, writing, and even becoming the oldest person in history to travel to space at age 90, where instead of joy, he felt deep sadness looking at the fragile Earth below, which changed the way he viewed the world and pushed him to speak openly about protecting the planet. And through all storms, Shatner kept moving, kept building, and kept growing his legacy into an empire that will shock many who believed. He lived on acting salaries alone, proving that behind every successful life is a story of reinvention, unshakable resilience, and choices that build a future brick by brick. So tell me what you think about William Shatner's incredible financial journey. Share your thoughts in the comment section. And make sure you like this video, subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin, and press the bell icon so you never miss an update.